Hello everyone, CH is here once again for a little bit of a special video. As you all know, it is the 20th anniversary of Pokemon. Well, yesterday was, but I didn't make a video yesterday because I wasn't planning on it. This video has actually been inspired by both Game Boy Luke and Tamashii for their videos. I'm telling you something right now, Tamashi's a real tearjerker. If you want to feel some feelings, you go watch her video. But they inspired me to do this because they talked about how Pokemon was a very important part of their life, and it is to a lot of us that grew up in Gen 1. So I thought I'd take a moment here, or a few moments, to talk about my journey with Pokemon. So, of course, my journey, of course, started with the anime, as most American children. And my first episode that I ever saw was the one of the lighthouse with the giant Dragonite. And what was it, Bill, I guess? It was Bill, somebody scientist, was in a Kabutops outfit. And so Dragonite and Kabutops are two Pokemon that I hold very dear. And when I found out there were games, my friend Brian had some games. We're going to be talking about him quite a few times here. But he had Pokemon Red. And so, I wanted Pokemon Blue. I didn't even have a Game Boy. My grandparents got me a Game Boy specifically so I could play Pokemon. And when I got my Blue version, this is the first really good memory I have of Pokemon, is I went and got my friend Brian, and he brought his Red version over. And we sat down, he started his game over just so that we could sit together and play through Pokemon together for my very first time, just playing through the very start of it. And because I got Blue, my first Pokemon was Squirtle. And I actually have downloaded Blue version on the Nintendo eShop. And chose Squirtle. I'm doing a Nuzlocke right now, and it's going poorly. Wartortle's still alive, though. Blaster's still going. He's A-okay right now. It's everything else that's dying. But, then my next really good memory is in Pokemon Yellow. I absolutely loved Pokemon Yellow. I took it everywhere. And I mean everywhere. I would even hide it in school. Well, I'd hide it in my backpack in school, just so during recess I could play it. And one day I lost it. And me and my grandmother searched everywhere for it. And we couldn't find it. And I cried and cried and cried. And because I got so tired from all the searching and crying from that day, I went to bed early, around 7. And the next morning, I woke up, went to the kitchen. My grandmother always had breakfast ready for me whenever I woke up. And there, lying on the table, was a brand new copy of Yellow version. And I was so unbelievably happy. I started playing it immediately and did not stop for the rest of the day except to eat, use the restroom, and change the batteries. And that was it. I got to the Elite Four that night with Pikachu, Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur, Fearow, and a level 14 Nidoran male. Why is the level so specific? You'll find out here in a second. So I reached the Elite Four. I beat everyone. I get to Lance. and me and Lance are fighting it out. We're trading Pokemon for Pokemon. One Pokemon goes down, his Pokemon goes down, my Pokemon goes down. We're just trading them back and forth, back and forth. And then it gets to his level 60 Dragonite. I think it's level 60. But it gets to that. And unfortunately, I'm out of potions and revives. I was not very good at the game. I barely knew typing at all. But it was down to his Dragonite, full HP. And all I had left was that lowly Nidoran male, level 14. In my last action, what I thought was my last action, I pressed Ice Beam. Yes, I had my Nidoran male with Ice Beam. And something happened. I can't remember if he missed one of his attacks or if he did that stupid thing where he used Barrier because it's a psychic move. And Nidoran was a poison type, but something happened. I managed to get the Ice Beam off. It freezes him, and if anyone remembers that Gen 1 thing, they never used full restores or full heals. So I froze him, and froze never wore off in first gen. So I just Ice Beamed and Ice Beamed and Ice Beamed until the Dragonite went down. I beat Lance with a level 14 Nidoran male. One of the happiest moments of my childhood. And then, of course, I go into the champion battle with only a level whatever Nidoking. I can't even remember the level. And, of course, I got destroyed. But instead of getting upset like I normally would have, I just laughed and laughed and laughed. Because it was just so funny to me that I beat Lance with that. And that is why Nidoran male is my favorite unevolved Pokemon of all time. Then we move on to Generation 2, Gold and Silver. Let's see here. Not really much to talk about. I did catch a shiny Raticate in Silver version, which is why I now have Silver the Raticate in Omega Ruby, because I caught a shiny Rattata in Fire Red, I think. It was either Fire Red or Leaf Green, and I named him Silver after that Rattata because he was in Silver. I mean, that Raticate because he was in Silver version. So that was something. And in Pokemon Crystal, I managed to catch all of the unknown. I had a book with all of the unknown, and I would mark all of them off as I caught them. Just to make sure that I had them all. Then Ruby and Sapphire came out. And I had a blast with those, but unfortunately, this was the time around, we all have either someone has had this happen to them or their friend has done this, where all of a sudden, I don't like Pokemon anymore. Pokemon's stupid. It's for kids. That was my friend Brian. He got Ruby version and he played it, and he was okay for a while. He even got Pokemon Coliseum, and you know, the Jirachi event, he didn't have a link cable. I had the link cable. We made a deal. We worked together, and we both get Jirachi, you know? I have the link cable, he has the game. Boom, boom, win-win, you know? And so, once Fire Red and Leaf Green came around, that's when he started. Pokemon's stupid. Pokemon's for kids. I can't believe you're still playing that. You know, we all have that person. And if you're going through that right now, if you're like a teenager and you like Pokemon, but all of your friends or your classmates or whatever are making fun of you for it, ignore them. They'll get over it. As I'll tell you a little bit later about Brian, too. He did all that in Fire Red and Leaf Green. Fire Red and Leaf Green were good parts of my life. I caught a bunch of shinies. That shiny Rattata I was talking about, I got on Route 1 while grinding before fighting Gary or Blue, Green, whatever you want to call them, for the second time. And then later on, before fighting Misty while I was grinding in the route above her gym, I caught a shiny Oddish, so I had 2 shinies right then and there before the second gym. And it was amazing to me. Then Emerald came out, and I absolutely loved Emerald. Emerald was my favorite game until X and Y. But nothing could replace Emerald. It was my absolute favorite. 3rd gen is my favorite gen when it comes to Pokemon. I love almost all the Pokemon in it. Trico is my favorite starter. Oh, and back when in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, me, Brian, and another friend, Colby, all had different starters. I had Trico, as he was my favorite starter. Brian had Torchic, which was his favorite starter, and then Colby had Mudkip. So we were all 3 like the rivals, or whatever you want to say. But that was some good memories right there. Then Diamond and Pearl came along. Not much happened there. That was kind of a down slope from there. Platinum was really good, and I liked Platinum. Not much to say there, other than Giratina was my favorite legendary, so I was happy that he got a big story around him. Then Heart Gold and Soul Silver came out. Still haven't beaten Red on those yet. So not much is happening there. Black and White came out, and I absolutely loved the story on that, because it was the controversy of, aren't they basically slaves because we're capturing them and all that, and the gym leaders. The gym leaders finally had more than just like a trope or something where you would fight them and they'd have this weird quirky thing about them or something, and then you never see them again. They actually come along with you on the journey. Like, you see them throughout the story, and they're even there at the final battle with the bad guys, Team Plasma. All the gym leaders except for the trio from the first gym are there to help you fight. And that was great. I loved that. Then Black and White 2 was sequels. And I remember looking at the cover for the first time and being like, what abominations have they created? I still think Kyurem White form is absolute abomination. I cannot stand the way it looks at all. Kyurem Black is cool up until you look at his face and then he's like, he's just got that lower jaw sticking out. Like he's got Down syndrome or something, I don't know. But then we started getting leaks for X and Y, the 6th generation. And then my friend Brian comes back from college. Well, he's on vacation or whatever, summer break. And all of a sudden he's into the X and Y leaks and all of that. And it's like, I'm sorry, what happened to, it's for children, and I will never like these again. And he's like, yeah, that's back when I thought it mattered. Because, in the end, it doesn't matter. There's even this comic book thing that I saw, where there was a guy in high school playing Ruby, and some guy standing right next to him saying, dude, I can't believe you're playing Pokemon. That stuff's for children, you know, same thing as Brian said. And then the next page or whatever is just everyone holding up their DSs going, Pokemon! Because they're in college and no one cares. They're adults now. It doesn't matter what you're into, what you like. As long as it's fun to you and it's not hurting anyone, it's okay to like what you like. And then, so, X and Y came out. They quickly gained popularity between me and my friends, because this was the first time we could finally sit down and have good Pokemon fun again, you know? And then Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire came out, and I was ecstatic for that, because my favorite gym was coming back into the 6th gen. So it had all the revamped stuff and all the awesome stuff. And I loved what they did with X and Y and the Delta episode. And yes, I do mean X and Y and the Delta episode, not Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, and the Delta episode. Because in X and Y, they touched a lot on like life and death and all of this stuff that was, you know, not exactly kid friendly or whatever. And the touching ending there with AZ holding the Floette, crying, being, it's been 3,000 years. That touched me so much. I almost cried. Yes, I almost cried. It was a beautiful scene. And then the internet ruined it, because anything that took forever to come out, like the Pokemon Bank or Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, they would Photoshop the logo or whatever on AZ's hands, and it's been 3,000 years. You ruined it. Thank you, internet. Assholes, all of you. But, anyway, next, the Delta episode of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire with Zinnia. Some people still don't get it, but the Whismur that she called it her daughter, she had a name for it, and then at the end she goes on this kind of not really a rant, but kind of a little thing of how she lost something by the same name. And then it's like hits you that she calls the Whismur her daughter and calls it that name. She lost her daughter. And that, you know, Pokemon, the American branch could have easily of redubbed that or whatever, just putting something completely different and completely sweeping it under so there was no problem or whatever. But it made you really believe that this character had her own problems, and that she actually lost someone precious to her, and she's using this Pokemon as a substitute. It was just so touching. I'm sorry, that was a little too emotional for me. I just really loved that. And so they just recently announced Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon, and I cannot wait to see how they expand just everything. Fingers crossed for a werewolf Pokemon. Come on, you got Moon there, man. Werewolf, come on. That'll be a little cutesy puppy, then a badass wolf, then a super epic awesome werewolf. Or it can mega evolve into a werewolf. But yeah, this video is running on way too long. But I just wanted to say how much Pokemon has been there. I actually have a mild case of Asperger's. So we didn't actually know this until like a few years ago. And it explains so much about how I could not read or write to save my life in the younger grades. Like, you know, all the first grade, second grade, all that. But Pokemon helped me through that because you had to read everything. I learned how to spell so many things. I remember learning how to spell a leaf and getting so excited. And, you know, 6, 7, 8-year-olds all know how to spell a leaf. It was really, you know, obvious or whatever. But for me and my stupid brain, it was just, I couldn't do it. And then, lo and behold, Pokemon, of all things, taught me how to spell. I'm still a dum-dum when it comes to most things. I also have short-term memory loss, so I cannot remember how to write a bunch of stuff. So, anyway, this has gone on for way too long. I went on for way too long. But please share in the comment sections down below what your best experience is with Pokemon. What do you remember the most? What is your fondest memory? Why do you love Pokemon so much? For me, it was just a very good place in my childhood. And I can't imagine being without it. So, anyway, thank you, Tamashii and Game Boy Luke, for inspiring me to do this. If you're even listening, I doubt that, but please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next video. Goodbye.